Traditional, old-school space shooters are a rare thing these days, and there's even a precious few with a modern take. Developers 34 Big Things N are here with a potential answer to that. Redout Space Assault is very much an arcade space shooter in every sense of the word, but with a number of modern sensibilities. The game launched on the 22nd of January on the PC and all the major consoles, and the developers recently asked if I would be willing to take a look at the game, so this is a sponsored video. To find out more about the game, do check out the link in the video description, and the game is priced at $9.99. The game then is pretty fast paced, which is something you might expect from the developers behind the highly respected racer Redout. Redout Space Assault certainly shares some of the speed elements with the other game, along with the visual style whilst throwing in combat to the mix. Just like space shooters of old, Space Assault spends much of its time on rails, carrying you through the various environments. Your main focus of course is on attack and defence, and from time to time the game will present you with a level where you can actually free roam and do a bit of exploring, so this really does add a nice bit of variety. Now, I do want to point out that the game is also available on iOS and released onto Apple Arcade a while back, so there's definitely some mobile elements to be found within this game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. For a start, the visuals on both the PC as well as the Switch look great, and the game is extremely easy to get into. However, interspaced throughout the levels, I found myself challenged by the gameplay more than once. For the most part, these challenges came from the bosses. A good example of this is the large ship you need to track down and destroy at the end of level 2. The ship is hidden among a group of asteroids and actually took me a while to locate. It was pretty well hidden. As soon as you find it, the battle commences. In terms of scope, the battle is a relatively simple affair as the enemy flies through the environment with you in hot pursuit. The trick really is for players to evade incoming fire long enough to actually do significant damage to the enemy. This particular boss fight really brought to my attention one gameplay mechanic that will quite likely divide players in terms of their opinion, and this mechanic is infinite lives. When you are destroyed, you will respawn, and this will continue to happen. However, this doesn't make the game easier. Instead, it presents a number of challenges. On this same boss fight, dying posed two major problems. Firstly, every time I died, the boss was able to flee a little further away by the time I respawned. Secondly, dying, or indeed falling too far out of range, meant that the damage I was dealing or able to inflict was significantly reduced. Eventually, this would mean that the boss would be able to escape the area. So here's the thing, I actually had to try this boss many times before I was able to get past it. And once I did, I really did have a nice sense of accomplishment. It was a great moment. One thing that will certainly help you progress through the game are the upgrades. These come in two forms. At the end of each level, the player is presented with the choice of virtual cards. The cards offer random power upgrades. From these, the player can choose a new upgrade or keep the existing one. So some of these upgrades can be very nice indeed, and the fact that new upgrades are offered at the end of each level in this manner really does help things keep somewhat fresh. The second and most important set of upgrades requires the player to invest energy into them. The energy is rewarded for completing each mission, and more can be collected during the missions themselves. All the usual suspects can be upgraded, such as shields, hull, weapons and missiles. And this gives the players some options in customizing the ship to suit their playstyle. Now, I actually played through the levels more than once to test out different builds. The first build was focused on shields, whilst the second was focused on missiles. For me, the missile upgrade made far more sense. In terms of the missions themselves then, there are 9 chapters. Each chapter is broken down into various stages. Some of the chapters may have 4 stages, whilst others may have many more. Each stage will offer a different objective. In some cases, this may simply mean survival, but in other cases, it may mean locating a specific object or destroying a certain enemy. Most of the stages are on rails, meaning that the game carries the player in a set direction, and this is definitely influenced by the previous Redout game, and likely influenced also by more traditional space shooters. To progress to the next chapter, all stages within the current chapter need to be completed, and I found myself returning to previous stages numerous times for a variety of reasons. Each stage has a primary objective and a number of secondary objectives. To complete the stage, the player must complete the primary objective. Secondary objectives, however, can be left for further playthroughs, and this makes the stages worth returning to for a number of reasons. One of these is to complete the secondary objective, another is to collect extra energy for upgrades. A few times I found myself actually doing this so I could get a slightly more powerful ship for further missions and future chapters. Okay, so now I've given a bit of a detailed overview of what the game is actually about. Let's jump in and give it a bit of a play.
Eva is right. If we burn through our resources, none of us will see Mars. Plus, they call it a purge for a reason. These people are lowlifes. On the moon, they can at least help us while we try to, prevent our own extinction.
There is a story to this then, and it will have you questioning what side you're actually on, whether you're really on the goodest side or whether you're on the baddest side. I don't want to give too much away though, as some of you will probably enjoy the story, so I don't want to do too much in the way of spoilers, but this is around about the Chapter 4, Chapter 5 region. I'm doing a bit of a replay through on some of the missions, just so we can get a bit of a feel for how things actually play out. So you can see it is indeed on rails here. The camera, the ship is moving in a chosen direction as determined by the level, and we need to clear off these turrets. For the moment, the rate of fire from the enemies is relatively easy to deal with, so we got nothing too much to worry about in the terms of evading fire. And as long as we don't get too close to the edge, that made me jump a little bit there with them shooting in from behind there. I'm just about to say, as long as we don't get too close to the edge of the screen, we're fine. We won't crash into anything. We're going to need to start evading things there. So yeah, some pretty hefty fire coming in. So as you can see, the enemies do come in phases. I'm using missiles almost entirely here. I used one of the ship's main guns, and this could be a Gatling gun, it could be a scattershot gun, it could be a railgun. There are a bunch of different weapons you could use. They'd fire towards the reticule, towards the centre of the screen there. But I do prefer to use the missiles. I put all my upgrades into the missiles, as these are auto-locking, also auto-seeking, and they fire a bunch of them in one go, but we still have to watch out for getting hit there. A bunch of fire coming from behind there. You can actually get hit from them sometimes. You might occasionally hear the beeping there and seeing the target at the bottom there, evade. That usually indicates an incoming missile. Some of these turrets are firing those, but sometimes, whoa, we actually crashed into something there. But sometimes the weapons fire and the missiles themselves can come from behind, so you might not necessarily see them coming, but you get the evade warning, and you kind of have to time it just so in order to make sure you're not shot. There we go, take it out another round. Now, no idea how many of these turrets there actually are. I do remember that in order to complete this mission, you needed to destroy the vast majority of them. Not all of them, but the majority of them. Oh, here we go. Bit of fire there. Not too bad. I think our shield is taking the most of it. So, like I say, put the majority of my upgrades into the missiles. I'm actually around about level 4 in terms of the shield as well. So the shield can take a bit of damage. I haven't as yet put any points into Hello, so once that shield's down, I'm a bit like a sheet of paper, easy to tear up. I'm doing a good job of evading the weapons fire there, am I? Evading the missiles for the moment, but not evading the weapons fire.
Most of the targets are down. The area should be safe enough to travel through. Roger, Bravo Squad. Well done.
Okay, so that wasn't too bad at all. Now, you may have been wondering about the sense of speed, and this can really vary from mission to mission. On some missions, the sense of speed can be quite low. On other missions, it can be very high indeed. Let's try another mission. So, in case you're wondering, the version I'm playing on is the PC version here. I did also play on the Switch as well, and we'll have a look at some of the footage from the Switch. towards the end of the video. One thing on the PC version right now is that everything is played back in HDR if your graphics card and TV actually support HDR. And you can see the impact on that a little bit at the moment. Unfortunately, as of this moment in time, it's not actually possible to disable the HDR, but this is a feature that the developers have said they'll be adding in very, very soon. Right, so we're after the target in the distance there. Quite a large ship. Oh, should I? Right, so I should have used the dodge spin there. It's always good to spin a ship, it helps evade. But yeah, I didn't use it in time, so I got hit pretty hard. So yeah, I'm after the target in the distance. Hopefully the amount of missiles I've got should be good enough to take it down at this point without too much hassle. And we're also going to have to watch out that I don't hit the... I seem to do these things as I say it, don't I? I don't want to hit the rocks. Let's crash into the rocks. Right, that ship is off to the right, so let's hang around a minute. Okay, something's shooting us from behind. I suspect it's the large vessel. We may just be swinging around at it again. Not yet. Oh, there it is. Okay, so let's try and hit it with a few more missiles. Again, another reason I do like the missiles, because they tend to allow you to shoot at targets that have gone off screen, whereas the other weapons don't really allow that sort of option. Now these rings here, they actually give you some sort of boost. Your ship does have a boost by default as well that you can use, but it can only be used every so often. Alright, we're going to try and evade that weapons fire a little bit better than we did previously. You can see my shields are taking a heck of a lot of damage here, and we're down again. Okay, so it's looking like at the moment I really do need to put either some more points into the shield or into the hull. Like I say, the hull is paper thin at the moment, so I basically haven't upgraded at all. Well, either that, I guess, or just, you know, get good. Get good is always a nice option. And preferably don't keep crashing into things. Right, I'm losing track of what I'm shooting at here. Right, there it is. It's kind of blending in with the colour of that asteroid, isn't he? But, you know, I can keep my distance here, and we've got it. Like I say, I can keep our distance. The other option would have been to use a scatter gun or another powerful weapon and keep right up on top of it and deal as much damage as you can. So the blue icon there is a blueprint, and those are basically something that we need to collect from time to time and mission to mission. Okay, so let's briefly talk about the Switch version of the game then. Now, the Switch version of Redout Space Assault I didn't spend quite as much time with as the PC edition. And this, quite simply, is because they are the same game. However, I did put in a few hours with the Switch because I wanted to get an idea for how well it plays. Obviously then, the main difference is the visuals. The visuals on the Switch are obviously not as good as those on the PC, but do keep in mind that the Switch has a pretty small screen, and as such the game still looks great on the platform. It also manages to keep up with the pace of the game very well. During those moments of high speed, there's no lag or frame rate drops, meaning that the game offers a very nice experience overall. With the PC, I have been playing on an Xbox One controller, and so the transition to Switch was very natural as the controls behave in exactly the same way. A quick note here though, the PC does of course support mouse and keyboard controls. In some ways, the Switch could be seen as the perfect platform for Redout. After all, this is, in my opinion, definitely a pick-up-and-play game. It's a game that you can put as little or as much time into as you want, so the pick-up-and-play nature of the Switch goes hand in hand with Redout. If you have both a PC or console as well as a Switch, then you might want to think about how, when and where you see yourself playing the game. It's certainly a great game for playing in bed, for example, or when travelling. But likewise, the visuals, not to mention the occasions where the game picks up some extremely high speeds, are very well suited to a large TV or monitor. In short, Redout can play to the strengths of both large screens and small screens. Again, don't forget to check the link in the video description for all the information you want. As always, thanks for watching. and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.